Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I talk about topics connected to mental health, spirituality, and how you can connect to your own divinity. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Before I jump straight into the topic, I just want to let you know that I am offering coaching services. If that's something that you're interested in, I have connected my website down below in the description. I also have a book out called Growing Young, Mind, Body, and Soul Cohesion. If that's something that you're interested in, the link is also down below in the description. So, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a technique that is used to undermine someone's perception on reality. It can have you second guessing your memories and what is true and what is not true. The term gaslighting came from a play that was created in, I believe it was 1938. If I'm wrong, I'll add the year here, but if I'm right, then I'll leave it. But yeah, I believe it was in 1938. It was a play called Gaslight, which ended up becoming a film later on. And in this film and the play, there was a husband who was using this technique of gaslighting to make his wife confused of what was actually happening in reality. So he would dim the gas lights in the house to make it lighter and brighter. He would hide her stuff and then make her convinced that she lost these things. And he was also making her feel like she was hearing things that were not there. So one way you might be gaslighting yourself is convincing yourself that you feel one way, but in reality you feel another. So I'll just give you an example of this. Say you grew up around people who were emotionally abusing you. And initially you felt angry or you felt sad. And when you expressed these emotions to the person who was emotionally abusing you, you were told that you were too sensitive and you were making a big deal out of it. So then you ended up suppressing these emotions and you hid them in your subconscious, and you convinced yourself that maybe you were too sensitive and maybe you shouldn't make it a big deal. But in reality, back then you were angry and upset about it, and you might still be angry, upset about it, but you're trying to convince yourself that you're not. So let's say you're older now and you come across people who display the same behaviors as the person from your childhood who emotionally abused you. And now the current person is emotionally abusing you, and you tell yourself, I'm too emotional, maybe I shouldn't be feeling angry about this, or it's silly for me to feel upset about this. So now you have these thoughts in your head that initially came from your childhood and telling you that you're too sensitive, or like you're too emotional or too much of something, you know what I mean? So now these voices in your head are telling you that don't feel angry about it, it's okay, it's no big deal. But in reality, you are angry, but you're trying to convince yourself and suppress these emotions because you are convincing yourself that you're too emotional if you feel something about the way that you're feeling towards emotional abuse, for example. Another sign that you might be gaslighting yourself is when you no longer trust yourself. You second guess everything that you do. Every decision that you make or every action that you take, you second guess yourself. And you feel like you need an outside source to make all your decisions for you. And you become codependent on someone. And you're willing to stay in a toxic relationship because you feel that it's safer to be in a relationship where someone could help you make these decisions, because you feel like you cannot live on your own because you would not be able to manage, because you no longer trust yourself. You no longer trust your intuition. So you feel safer being with someone else, and you just become codependent on someone else to make up all the decisions. Or like anytime you do need to make a decision, you always have to go to someone and confirm, do you think this is right? Do you think this is wrong? Like you can't trust yourself anymore. That's what ends up happening. Another sign that you may be gaslighting yourself is when you feel bad for setting boundaries. So for example, maybe through conditioning, you were taught that you have to help everybody who is in need of your support. But even if you don't feel like helping someone, or you just don't have the energy, or for whatever reason you don't feel like helping someone, you still go out and help them because you've convinced yourself that if you do not help people in need, you're a bad person. Is this true? No, it's not true. Sometimes we're human, right? And sometimes we cannot do everything for everyone. But it becomes a problem when we convince ourselves that we're selfish or we're bad if we do not help someone. So that's another form of gaslighting yourself. It's pretty much just lying to yourself or telling yourself lies about certain situations. For example, in this case, I'm talking about saying no, and if you say no, you are convincing yourself you're a bad person. But in reality, just because you say no and just because you set boundaries does not make you a bad person. Another way you might be gaslighting yourself is when you look at other people's lives and you see that some people are in worse situations or predicaments than yourself. And because of that, you start convincing yourself like, hey, you know, I shouldn't feel so bad because other people are worse off, or I shouldn't feel shame or angry because people are in less unfortunate predicaments than I am. So because of that, you're like, oh, you know, other people's going through a lot more trauma or a lot more hardship, so I should be grateful or I should be feeling better. That's lying to yourself. You have to be like truthful to yourself. If you are angry, you are angry. If you are sad, you are sad. Just because someone is worse off doesn't mean that you should start invalidating the truth of how you feel, right? So yes, that can happen a lot too. Some people like to look at other people's lives and be like, you know what, I shouldn't feel this way because this and that. But in reality, if that's how you feel, that's just how you feel, and you have to honor that. So usually when children are gaslit, they are more likely to grow up and gaslight themselves. But that doesn't mean that if you are not gaslit as a child, that you will grow up and not gaslight yourself. But it's more likely that if you were gaslit as a child, that you'll be more likely to gaslight yourself. So my suggestion for this is to do inner child healing. If that's the case, if you were gaslit as a child, and just work on reconditioning your negative self-beliefs or self-talk into positive self-talk. I did create a video on how to use positive affirmations, so I would definitely recommend using positive affirmations to reprogram your mind from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. So, for example, if you heard or are currently hearing someone who is always telling you that you are too emotional and you are overreacting, you would have to change this inner dialogue. So going from I'm too emotional to I am validating how I feel and I honor it, and I give myself space to feel these emotions. So you're switching the dialogue that's going on internally for you. So I really hope that this video was helpful. If you have any stories of how you gaslight yourself, or any techniques or practices or anything that could be helpful for anyone who may read it, please comment that down in the comment section below. And I guess until next time, peace and love.